What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, and today, guys, we are here to review one of the latest Arrow video releases, Hugo, on 4K. So I did get this one in early. This is an early review copy. This is actually due out on July the 18th, so next Tuesday. So hopefully this review will help you make a more informed decision on whether or not you should pick this up on release date. But we are going to talk about the movie itself, directed by the legendary Martin Scorsese. A Martin Scorsese film on 4K from Arrow Video does not get any bigger than that. I know some people would probably want some different Martin Scorsese films from Arrow Video, but we got Hugo on 4K. So we're going to talk about the movie and the transfer, the 4K picture quality, audio, special features, packaging. I will say about the packaging, guys, a lot of people reached out to me, messaged me. They thought that this was supposed to be a hard box case. And that's the thing with Arrow sometimes in their announcements. They do get a little tricky here and there with the pictures that they show, but this is not a hard box. It's just a regular slipcover, but that doesn't make the contents of the packaging any less worth it. This is still a 3-disc set. There's still posters in here. There's still booklets. It's still a really nice release. Yeah, let's go ahead and start off with the movie itself. Like I said, directed by Martin Scorsese. This is an interesting one because this movie came out in between Shutter Island, which came out in 2010. This movie came out in 2011, and then after this, he did The Wolf of Wall Street, which is probably one of his most well-known films, at least to a modern audience. So that's a huge film. Everybody knows The Wolf of Wall Street. So he did this movie, and this is a very different kind of Martin Scorsese film. I don't think he's really made a movie quite like this before. So I think that I understand what attracted him to this film. You know, 1920s filmmaking and kind of going back in the past and stuff and kind of looking at it through the lens of that 1920s filmmaker. It is based on a book as well. It's kind of fictional, but also biographical as well. But it's an interesting movie. It's very much a kid's film. It's a kid's adventure film, I would say. It's about a boy that's living in this train station. He's an orphan. His parents have died. And then he gets involved with this older guy's granddaughter, or his adoptive granddaughter or something like that. I think she was an orphan as well, who's played by Grace Moretz. And the older guy is Ben Kingsley. So, and then they find out that this older guy is a like great former filmmaker from the 20s that just kind of fell off when the war came, and he doesn't want anything to do with movies anymore. So it's a movie very much about self-discovery, about finding your inner voice again after losing it for all these years. And it's told through the lens of this boy. And again, it's a kid's movie. It's a kid's adventure film. He's getting involved in all these shenanigans in the train station. You have Sacha Baron Cohen, who's the security guard, and there's some issues with them, some scuffles with them. This is very much a love letter to the silent filmmaking era of the 1920s. So in that respect, like, it makes sense that Martin Scorsese will want to make this movie. All filmmakers love making movies about making movies, and this is Martin Scorsese's film about making movies. So it makes sense that he would want to make a movie like this, but nothing about this movie screams Scorsese to me. Like, this is nothing like anything that he's ever done before. It definitely feels more like a Spielberg film, I will say that, than anything else. But like, I mean, it's beautifully shot. Like, it looks very different than a lot of other movies I've seen as well. There's a little bit of, it feels like a little bit of CGI is incorporated in the actual like filmmaking. This movie was shot digitally. It was also shot in 3D. There's a 3D version that's actually included here. And I think when it came out in the theaters, one of the big selling points was that 3D aspect, because it came out in 2011. That was post-Avatar. Everybody was doing 3D and stuff. So Hugo, I think that was one of its big selling points. Another interesting thing about this movie is that it was budgeted, I think, at like $70 million. They ended up going $80 million over budget. So I don't know how that happened. Maybe there were some issues, because there's some really incredible, like, beautiful looking set pieces in this movie involving like just some real life images of like them actually shooting movies in the 20s. Like, it just looks really good, looks really cool. Like, they do some really cool stuff with kind of like incorporating the real like footage of a trip to the moon and then like trying to make that in live action. So they do some interesting stuff there. There's some great like set design and set work and just some really good like set piece moments that really stand out. So I can definitely see where the money went in this movie. It looks like it cost quite a bit to make, so I can see where it went, but kind of interesting. The movie went $80 million over budget. It did not make its money back at the box office. This movie is considered a bomb. It made $180 million. But when you take into account, like, you know, the advertising and all that stuff, usually that runs twice the budget. So this movie was a bomb. It lost money for the studio. So hopefully they get a little bit of it back with this 4K release right here. So not a successful movie. But I think at the end of the day, Scorsese is probably glad he made this, because this was him getting his perspective out on that early day of filmmaking. So I think that this is a movie that you can definitely appreciate for that. So I did like the movie. I liked the movie a lot, but I just didn't love it. Like, I don't know, there's something about it. It moves in a very traditional way, in a very traditional trajectory. Like, you know exactly where all these characters are going to end up by the time you get to the end of this movie. At the beginning of it, there's no real surprises. There's no real surprise character arcs. And the movie doesn't really lead you in any different direction. It's just a very traditional film. There's nothing wrong with that. It's an enjoyable movie. Like I said, it's more of a kid's movie than anything else. But it just didn't have that extra for me. And again, directed by Martin Scorsese. If I didn't know this was directed by Martin Scorsese, nothing about this movie screams that it was directed by Martin Scorsese. Like, if you were just watching this and didn't know, you would never think it was a Scorsese film. Like I said, it's more like a Spielberg film. But I did enjoy the movie. It's a good movie. I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. So let's go ahead and jump into the picture quality here, because I think that Arrow Video actually did an outstanding job on this 4K upgrade. Now, I never watched the Blu-ray. I do have the Blu-ray in my possession. I forgot to bring it over here, actually. But this is an upscaled 4K. Like I said, this was shot digitally. Probably one of the only Scorsese films that was shot digitally, honestly. I think he uses film a lot still. But this is an upscaled 4K. It has Dolby Vision. It has HDR10. It was also, like I said, shot in 3D. Now, there is a 3D version in here. I did not watch it in 3D. I don't have a 3D TV. I don't have all the glasses and equipment to watch it and fully appreciate it. But if you do, you do have that version in here. You have that option. But I thought it looked really beautiful. Like, this is a really stunning film. Like I said, you can absolutely see where the money went in making this movie. There's a lot of really standout set piece moments. Like I said, just kind of them showing how these movies were made back in the 20s, just really taking you behind the scenes and showing it in a real, like, grandiose way with tons of bright, vivid colors that just really stand out in that HDR. But just going into, like, the facial details, everything is just super clean and crisp, and you can just see everything very clearly. This is a pristine 4K transfer, but this is a newer movie, like I said, shot digitally. But it does feel very cleaned up, very pristine. It has a lot of depth to it, which I do love about the HDR and what it does for the picture quality. It just adds such a richness and a depth to this film that I imagine was not present on that Blu-ray. So I think that Arrow did an incredible job cleaning this up. Now, this is a Paramount film, so maybe Paramount, because I know that Paramount, when they license stuff out, they usually like doing the transfers themselves. So I don't know if this is an Arrow Video transfer, this is a Paramount transfer. I imagine maybe Paramount probably did it and then gave it to Arrow Video to put out. But I thought that whoever did it did an excellent job. It looks great across the board. There's a lot of very impressive scenes and shots, big sweeping shots, big, like, overhead shots of Paris, of France, of the city itself, and in the train station, tons of stunning shots and scenery. All the costumes look beautiful. This is a period piece. I believe this movie is set in the 20s or the 30s. It's post World War I, I know that. But yeah, all the costumes, everything looks great. Everybody looks great. The black levels look fantastic. This is a pristine 4K transfer that looks almost absolutely immaculate. Nothing wrong at all with this 4K. Getting into the audio, you do have a DTS HD Master Audio 7.1. So not quite Atmos, but it is that right next to Atmos. 7.1 is a really good sound mix. Now, I do have a soundbar that simulates that sound mix, and I thought everything sounded great, like the trains that you hear coming into the station, and just the overall, just the score of this movie sounds phenomenal. But there's a lot of great grandiose moments in this film that really emphasize that sound, and I thought everything sounded wonderful. So no issues with the sound. 7.1 in the English. You also get a Master Audio 2.0 in English as well. So I thought it sounded great across the board. Score was fantastic. Whoever did the score here, I'm trying to, I know we had a special feature, but I don't know the name off the top of my head, but sounded fantastic. The score was excellent. Everything about the sound here was really great. So like I said, getting into the packaging a little bit, I'll show the front. I really like the artwork on the front of this. You do have that moon from A Trip to the Moon right there behind the clock. I'll show you the back. You got the synopsis. You got everything that's included here on the different discs and the special features. So disc 1 is the 4K Ultra HD, and I believe the audio commentary is in that as well. And then on disc 2, you have the Blu-ray version with the 2D and the 3D with the audio commentary. And then on disc 3, they have all of the special features. So, and there's a ton of special features here. There's, I think like 3 big, long, lengthy interviews. Like one of them's damn near an hour. And I'd say with all the special features here, it's probably close to 3 to maybe 4 hours of brand new special features here. So Arrow Video did not skimp on the special features. Tons of stuff to dig into here. You got the music of Dreams, a new interview with composer Howard Shore. That's who did the music here. There's a lot of really good features here about 1920s filmmaking that is really interesting. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, I think you'll really enjoy the features here. You have Inventing Hugo Cabaret, a new interview with Brian Selznick, award-winning author and illustrator of the original novel on which the film is based. So the actual guy that wrote the novel on which the film is based has the hour-long almost special feature and interview talking about this movie. So great stuff across the board, like just fantastic special features. I didn't watch every single minute of every single one of these, but I did dig into quite a few of these special features, and they were really great. So, and then you have a lot of archival special features here as well that were present on the previous like DVD and Blu-ray releases. So they did not skimp on special features here. There's a whole disc for special features. So I think that, you know, they give you your money's worth in special features for sure. So taking the slipcover off, I love how they have multiple different artwork here. So you would take this off and usually assume that it would be the same artwork on the inside on the 4K case as this cover right here. That's not the case. It's a completely different artwork. I'll flip it around, show the back, and then, you know, opening it up. But let me show the reversible artwork real quick. And I believe that this is also new. This might have been one of the posters from back in the day, but this is not the same image that's on my Blu-ray over there. So this is also the, I believe this is probably the original poster artwork, but cool that they included that as well. I love the colors on that. And then inside you got all 3 of the discs right there. So great stuff. Like I said, it's not in a hard box, but that doesn't make it any less worth it. I know some people were very disappointed in that, said they weren't going to get this now because it wasn't in the hard box. I'm just saying that don't let that hold you back. Don't let that hold you back, because this is a great release from Arrow Video. And they got, you know, a booklet inside here as well. One thing I forgot to bring up is there's this robot in this film that every time they shoot this thing, it just looks fantastic in 4K. You also get a poster as well in addition to that. So I'll show you the poster here. Double-sided poster. Like I said, just great new artwork from Arrow Video. Great stuff. And you get that traditional Hugo poster as well. So look, guys, all in all, I did not love this movie. I thought it was very good. Don't expect, you see this is directed by Martin Scorsese. Do not expect a traditional Martin Scorsese gangster film. You're not getting that here. You're not getting a more mature themed film. Not saying Scorsese does only gangster films, but he does a lot of mature themed movies. This is not it. This is Scorsese's children's movie based on a novel, but it does have a charm to it. It has that, you know, if you're interested in 1920s filmmaking, kind of a love letter to that, to the silent filmmaking era of movies, and I think you will enjoy this movie. I enjoyed this movie, just didn't love it, but overall as a release, I think that for $34.99, just with the amount of special features alone, like 3 or 4 hours of brand new special features, an hour of archival special features, posters, booklets, and I thought it looked great in 4K. I thought it sounded great. So everything about this release is a winner to me. You know, so I would recommend picking this up, especially if you're a fan of this movie. If you really enjoy this movie, I would absolutely recommend picking this up, even for $34.99, even without the hardbox case. I think it's a really solid release. So thank you all so much for watching this review of Hugo on 4K. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications for all future videos, and follow me on all my social media accounts down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.